Welcome to the Miniatures Paintbrush. Today we're going to talk about infantry, the actual core of your army. But before we get talking length about that, I think it's time for a little hobby progress. Well, I've been working on a couple of things. As far as Warhammer is concerned, I just built this little thing over Normo. All right, thing over here. Just to add on to my Sector Mechanicus terrain, I got a little design going on right there. And I built this. This is not glued in together, but I could. I mean, it's a solid piece. I don't know. I might. But this is just the core basic elements to put on a gaming table. Great for battle reports. I went a little crazy with the little details inside in between that you probably will not see if I held this up to you. But yeah, the wires are done. At least 90% of them are done. And this is faded, and I put a lot of little detail into it. I kind of wanted to get this off the table. Now this I started way back when in the summer. Last summer, when I had all this time left over because my airbrush, it died, and I had to fix it. So I primed a whole bunch of terrain, and I never actually got around to finishing it. Now summertime is going to be upon us. It's right at the door, and I kind of want to get these done. I also have the Garden of Moor to tackle as well. So this Sector Mechanicus piece, I'm calling it done. There's still some more other like furnaces to go, but this main piece is done with this design. I'm going to put it all the way back here because I need room for more hobby progress, right? So another thing that I've been working on that I've been putting off for at least a year now is this 1953 Ford. A lot of people don't know that I'm also a scale modeler. In fact, I've been a scale modeler way before I started painting miniatures, and I really fell in love with it, since I was 11 years old. And well, now that I'm bringing stuff and I'm painting miniatures and bringing all those skills to the table and kind of transfer, like I have these two hobbies, but they're not exclusive. Like the things that I learned from one hobby will pour it into the other hobby, and different techniques that I learned from that hobby will pour it into this hobby. For example, I'll show you in just a bit. Let me just throw this over on this side, and this interior right here. Now, I actually painted the white as well as the blue and went around the white and the blue as well. And some of these techniques that I learned while doing scale modeling, in order to do that, certain masking techniques that I use, I actually used it on my Storm Wolf. Right, the flyer for the Space Wolves. And when it came to the windows and doing the windows, I used the exact same technique. And you see in my archives, you can check out those videos there. Where I use the flat of the blade to go along the recesses in order to get to cut out the masking for the area. So this way the lines are crisp, they're clean, they're two-tone. And again, something I do on a vehicle will transfer over to into the miniature hobby world. Sort of like when I do a military vehicle, all the weathering that I can do on the military vehicle will transfer over to the miniature world as well. So this is more hobby progress on this 1953 Ford Victoria. I don't think it was called Crown Victoria. I think it was just called Victoria. Here's the chassis all done up right there. And of course the heart of it, I got the engine complete with a Fram filter. It says Fram there. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. Anywho, I did all the pins and stuff like that. Very, very interesting, and it's a part of history, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I really want to get it done off my table because I do have a Mustang that I was told that my sister-in-law wanted me to build. She's crazy about Ford Mustangs and Cobra Shelbys, actually. And I'm going to do a Shelby. I think it's a 66 Cobra Shelby. And that will be on the show later on. So that is it for the actual hobby progress. But there is some computer progress to show you. And this I have to stand up for because this is intense. I have the Threadripper. That's right, this is my microprocessor, which is absolutely insane. And I had to do that and stand up for this thing because, it's the biggest CPU I've ever seen in my life, and it is faster than a 16 different cores, 32 thread processor, and it's the Threadripper 2950X, and it is epic. All right, this is computer progress that I wanted to show you guys as well when it comes to the hobby, because the quicker I get that computer together, the more quality videos I can actually put out, and I start editing videos and doing things like that again. And I want to make sure that I have enough processing power that it's not going to die. See, the other computer kind of let me down, and I want to kind of make sure that I don't get let down by this computer that I'm building here. I'm gonna put this over here. So a lot of hobby progress going on here. Pretty epic stuff going on around here. But that's it for the hobby progress. I want to progress to the news. And if you've been keeping up, the actual there is Warhammer Fest that actually came out, and it is absolutely insane the amount of things that were released there, and a lot of things to get excited over. So I'm just pouring over here. So the Ever Chosen, the global painting competition, global, that means worldwide painting competition, right? So I wonder how they're going to actually do that. There is one that you can submit your own photos, but the quality of the photos may either be doctored, or it may actually, poor lighting and not do it justice. So, some people may try to jip the system in order to get a better paint job, and they're not reputable if they do that, but still you can't trust just people to not Photoshop things. It's crazy out there on what people can do with technology now, and it's not fair for the people who actually put in all the work in order to get well-painted miniature done. So that's something that I might be careful of. But there's another option in which they might be able to judge this competition fairly, in my opinion, is that since they have, and just bear with me on this one, since they have the 3D technology where you have the 360 view of a miniature, maybe, just maybe, if the Warhammer stores had a setup in which you can come into the store, submit your models, they put it on a table and take pictures all the way around so you can see all the facets of the model, right? And then send that to the judges. See, now there's no Photoshop there, right? So it's just definitely you bringing your miniature into a Warhammer store. They take all these pictures of it and they submit those pictures, all done with the same type of cameras worldwide. Everything is on a level playing field, and then someone or a panel of people actually would have to sift through thousands of these entries, which is insane. But they're a large company, so you never know, right? So that's the only two ways I can actually see a global painting competition go. And I think the second way would be the best way, in my opinion, just to make sure that there's a level playing field. But what do you think about the Ever Chosen painting competition? Will you submit an entry? I mean, if there's very little to no risk in order to submit an entry, I don't see why you wouldn't try, just to put it out there, because you never know. But I do know this: the best painters in the world are going to come out the woodwork for this one. That's for sure. All right, so I do want to say congratulations to Maxime Pirnaun. I hope I'm saying that right. See, now I bought the Shakespeare Underworld pack of this here, of the trolls, but he won with a Dracul Trogloth, and it looks amazing. I love the skin tones. I love the way the bluish grays contrast with the reddish pinks that he has on the body. Really did an amazing job and came home with a Slayer sword. Congratulations, Maxime. All right. In video game news, we have Chaos Bane, which is a hack and slasher, which brings me back to Space Marines. It was a PlayStation 3 game, I think, or PlayStation 3 game, where it was just shoot 'em up. And this reminds me of that because this is hack and slash, so I'm hopeful of that. That should be fun because I really did like Space Marine, the game. Also, More news. Bandai, which actually makes the Gundam suits, the larger ones, came out with a 7-inch tall Primaris Space Marine. Posable, it seemed. Like, I've seen the finger positions on 2 of them, and I think that's absolutely amazing. And anybody, any painter who does busts and stuff like that, this is your opportunity to really get some free hand in on some shoulder pads and really do this Primaris justice, right? Because there's just so much surface area. And when you have surface area, especially if you're classically trained, you're going to go to town. I mean, to town, right? All right. Video game news. Woo. Vermintide is getting a new expansion. Vermintide. So if you've never played it before, these are just Skaven trying to take over a city. I've seen playthroughs through it. I haven't played it. I don't have a computer right now. So I've seen playthroughs of it, and it looks like heck of a lot of fun. I think Wargamer Girl was actually the one playing through those, and I saw a couple of those, and that was a lot of fun to watch her play. All right. Warhammer Underworlds Online. So, let's say, I guess if you have the cards, right, and you scan them in, then you have your warband, and you have certain cards, you can choose that with the deck, and there's something you do with a little bit of Warhammer Champions, where you have the card, but there's some digital aspect to it. So I'm thinking that you get your card, you scan it in somehow, maybe using your camera, because that's a scanner now. Amazing how technology is just going. I remember I remember DOS, all right, with that the green screen, and I had my Commodore going tick 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 tick. No, that was all right. I'm old. All right, anyway, when floppy disks were actually floppy. Now it's insane that you can scan in your cards and you can play the game even though you're not there. So this way, if you have people and time constraints, and that's, I think, while adulting, that's one of the biggest concerns if you want to play these games is actually finding the time, not disrupting your family life in order to play the game. It's kind of rough. And this is one of the reasons why I took to painting more than I did to playing, because I ain't got no time for that. And at least down here, I can come and I can paint, and whenever, if my family needs me, I'll stop, clean my brushes, go upstairs and help out, whenever. But if you're playing a game with guests, you can't really, you could stop, but then, it's kind of awkward, and there's all these situations. You never want to put your family through that. So there's that too. Go adulting, right? But this is an opportunity to play Warhammer Underworlds without actually, the commitment of having somebody come over, travel time, everything else. And what if you live long distance from somebody? Let's say you moved, right? And your friends are all in this other town where you used to play, but you can't go there because it's like a 4 or 5 hour, 10-hour trip or something like that, right? But now you could still play with your friends. So there's that interconnectivity as well. So Warhammer Underworlds Online seems like an exciting prospect. All right, General Handbook 2019 is coming out for AOS, and I have to admit, I've never read the General's Handbook, even though I bought it the day AOS actually came out. And that's because I'm a really slow painter. I have certain things about me, quirks about me. I'll tell you this much. Not everybody have these little quirks about me. I mean, my dad was in World War II as a veteran, and he grew up in the 20s where you don't open a new box until you finish the old box kind of mentality. And I know that's archaic. It's just ingrained in me, and it's who I am. And if I change that about myself, I change who I am. So, no, that's okay. I'm just me. I'm all right with it. Hopefully you're all right with it. But hey, I'm going to do me. That's what this hobby is. I guess it's kind of selfish, isn't it? I think we're all a little leaning towards that, thinking about what you can personally get out of this hobby and how it makes you happy. It's a sort of a sense of, in my aspect, like a self-medication. But I don't know if that's a positive thing or a negative thing at this point. I guess it doesn't hurt anyone, right? Unless it does hurt someone. If you're playing this hobby and you're neglecting your family, you ain't doing the right thing. I'm letting you know right now. Yeet. All right. Anyway, let's see. Okay, so General's Handbook. There's a lot of stuff in there. I'm more than likely going to pick it up. I like the stuff in there. And as I continue to paint my Stormcast Eternals, my Legions of Nagash army, which is just Grand Alliance Death, because I get them all. I like the death. I think it's pretty epic. So I'm gonna probably get that too. I'm gonna play some stuff on the gaming table. I'm gonna warm up to AOS. So this way, when it comes time for the battle reports, I'm ready and I kind of know the game, the ins and outs kind of deals. All right. And I'm really looking forward to filming some battle reports for you guys. Like really, really, really. I got the gaming table, built the gaming table. I'm pretty committed to this whole YouTube thing. I'm pretty committed to this hobby. You can see I have a lot of stuff here. There's more stuff on the top. I'm pretty committed. I literally spent the time for a year to build a gaming table so I could have battle reports and have games on it. And I'm really putting the effort in and buying high-end components to get a really epic computer so I can really bog down and nothing's gonna break down. You know what I mean? If something does, I can always replace it very easily. It's I'm gonna be able to have an overkill computer, basically. And next purchase is the video card, which is quite expensive. Okay. The Splintered Fang. Those guys look plain cool. I mean, really cool. I'm not out for a new warband, but holy moly, the snakes, that dude with snakes coming around his arm is like, it's like really cool stuff. I mean, really. Another version of the Underworld seems to be in the works, and they're planning session 3. And I'm behind again. I have not opened the box. I have opened the box, I would say, of season 2, but I haven't painted those miniatures in there or anything like that. I know. I gotta get to doing that. I think that's going to be in our next. I don't know if it's going to be my next project. My next project is probably going to be Wolflord Crumb, because I already have them primed up. And then I have Murder Fang, a trash to treasure as well. And then that's terrain over here, which is the Garden of Moor for Grand the Lion's death. There's that as well. So many things, all the things, right? All the things. Anywho. Another version. Oh, yeah. So I need to ask the question when it comes to Warhammer Underworlds, right? They're going through a lot of different factions and having representations of said factions. What happens when they run out of factions? Now, here's what I think. The only way they're going to keep on releasing things when they run out of faction is that they start doing elites. Just like Kill Team, where they just came out with the elites, which is, just Terminators, basically. And they have that as a separate game. I think they're going to do that with Underworlds. Once they run out of a representation of each faction, they're going to go on to the elites and maybe had some commanders in there and follow suit. Because if it's working well for Kill Team, then why not, Warhammer Underworlds? It's odd because I think that Warhammer Underworlds was a testing ground for Kill Team, so they could bring that out and they have an idea of what a small skirmish would be. And I mean, they're far from equal playing field. It's more a skirmish game. I get that. Like AOS skirmish is more like Kill Team than Warhammer Underworlds, because you have a board and everything else. But the essence is there, having skirmish games with small bands and playing that. But I think they're going to port over ideas, and why wouldn't they? If something is successful, why wouldn't you just exploit it to the absolute most you can and juice every cent out of everyone? Because that's how businesses survive, right? You make what you can, and you can what you make, and invest for later, right? All right. So that's the only thing. What do you think they're going to do? Because eventually, you can see the writing on the wall, Warhammer Underworlds. They're going to come out with so many war bands, they're going to run out of war bands to actually, represent armies, unless they're going to consistently put out new armies, which, I don't know, that's rough, for AOS and for casters and for, all that. All the things. And with their release schedule, it seems like it's just going to run out. All right, what do you think? Are they going to come out with elites as well? All right, so next up in the news, we have the Repulsor Executioner. Now, I've been waiting to get a Repulsor tank, and to be honest with you, I was actually going to pick up the Battle Force box for the Space Marines, and I held off on that. I did. And that had a repulsor tank in it. But now, this one. This is a tank killer, all right? This is like the Predator, when it has that long barrel. But also, you can flip that out and put a plasma weapon in the front as well. So, like, there's so many options for this thing. And this thing is bad donkey. You know what I mean? All right? It's because it has so many things, all the things. I can see it as a night killer. Night killer. Big old repulsor tank coming down, like, pew, pew. That is definitely something I'm looking at for the Space Wolves army. But I got a lot to paint for the Space Wolves army. I got a lot of stuff. I haven't even painted my first Primaris Marine yet. Because when I do, the floodgates will open. That's for sure. All right. Okay, so Adeptus Mechanicus, let's not leave them out. They have the Scorpulus Dune Rider, and it looks like amphibious forces vehicles for World War II. And the reason why I say that is because my dad was on an amphibious, in the amphibious forces. We had the flat bottom boat that used to, crash against the waves, then used to open up, and then, troops would come out. So, I mean, it's pretty interesting that they would do something like that. And it's more like a hovercraft kind of thing. So it's kind of funky too. I'm glad to see the Sector Mechanicus is actually, Adeptus Mechanicus is actually getting their own tanks, their own vehicles, and expanding that line. So good on you. I know Wolf Brother Mythos is excited about his Adeptus Mechanicus growing there. Chaos Knights. I think Chaos Knights are well and good. But when it comes to Knights, they are a huge investment in time and energy. Huge. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you want to pour over a lot of love on one miniature and have the world kind of stop for you for a little while, build a knight, or 3, or 10, or if you're like Ian, 20,000 billion, over 9,000 knights. All right, anyway. Ian, hopefully you're watching this. I miss you, brother. All right. Corbin, I miss you too, bro. Anyway. Let's go on to Chaos Knights. Yeah, so I see representations of Chaos Knights and, the Night Lords you can throw in there and a whole bunch of different factions that you can do with that. But what I don't see is specifically Death Guard. I don't see, something Nurglified with the pitted stuff. I mean, of course, you could actually make that stuff, a custom make, but I don't see something from them, produced from them, with those bits. And it wouldn't be too hard to include Death Guard Nurgly, pieces, like tentacles or something like that, or maybe a chest plate with a mouth on it or something like, rah, rah, how you doing, kind of thing, It wouldn't take too much to just mold those bits, or maybe upgrade sprue. Hear that, GW? Upgrade sprue would be awesome for your Chaos Knights. And maybe you beat me to the punch. Maybe there's actually upgrade sprues inside the box, which would be epic as well. But not that I need to build another knight. I got 2 in assembly line, and 1 I'm trying to get rid of. Because I magnetized it and I wasn't happy personally. But then I'm a little bit anal retentive. Can it be salvaged? Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with it, absolutely at all. It's just I am just particular, and I don't like the way I don't like magnetization for some reason. And when it comes to my knights, maybe I'm crazy. I kind of like static pose, and I'll deal with it. If I want a different loadout, I'll build another knight. I got 3 of them, for crying out loud. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm too much of a painter to worry about what's effective on the battle screen. Am I going to get wiped off the table? Probably every single time. Am I going to continue playing? I don't know. If I go for somebody who's like Dead Gamer, bro, just some pretzels, and you're right, I don't cuss. I don't. I come from New York City, and I had my fair share of it so much in my life that I'm just done with it. So I'm like up to there with bad foul language and everything else. I allow myself, and this is the thing with me, I allowed myself to just be a good person and be okay with that and not try to impress anybody. I don't. It's one of the reasons I don't monetize the channel. It's why I don't really brand myself and sell my brand. I mean, I do this hobby because I love it, and the fact that you join me is humbling. But I wasn't out to get a whole bunch of subscribers when I started this YouTube channel. I just wanted to share what I loved. And I'm still to that principle right there. I'm not out to get it. Like, I don't look at the statistics, how my channel's doing or anything like that, because I honestly, whatever the statistics are, they are. I want to have a love of something and share that with others, and we can go on this journey together. And that's all that matters when it comes to this hobby. So, there's that perspective as well. Me and my personality. I'm kind of quirky like that. All right. So let's get back onto the news. I do like in the Chaos Knights, the knee positioning. It's kind of funky because it's not straight down. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's weird. It's like, I don't know, like The Others. You ever seen the movie The Others? Yeah, like that. Roddy Piper. I think that's the movie The Others. I'm pretty sure. I'm going back to the 90s with stuff. Or is that the 80s? I don't know. Okay, so, big thing. The miniatures paintbrush. How can we not talk about paint, right? Well, I don't know. Because this contrast paint that are coming out, I need to play around with. I cannot make a valid choice as far as, what the technical paint will be, simply because the reason is that I bought Hexwraith's Flame, that technical paint, when Soul Wars came out, and Nighthaunt Gloom, which that fell, but I caught it. All right, Nighthaunt Gloom, which I got as well. And right now, I do not like these paints. I don't know. It looks so, I don't know. Definitely not. I guess if I was speed painting an army, and if I'm speed painting an army, I mean, for GW, it'd be the best thing. When people actually like the best thing. A lot of people don't like building and painting, which I can't imagine why. That's the best part, man. All right, anyway. But if you can paint really quickly, you can have a quick release schedule and not have to worry about it because all your stuff will be painted, right? So you just have to buy the new thing. And then, GW's happy. You're happy because you get new models. Things are getting painted and put on the table that look halfway decent and done. But I don't paint these miniatures to get done with them. I paint these miniatures because I think they're epic and they should look epic. And they have to be representing who I am as a miniature painter, as an artist, as a person. Like, my personality leaks into these models. You could see by my models I'm kind of straight-laced because I kind of like to leave things the way they are. I do modify here and there, but not too much. I'm more of I'm in this box right here, and I struggle to think outside the box. I'm trying to get out of it, because, change. Change. All right. But I overcome those fears on a daily basis. So that's it for the news. Contrast to be announced when it comes to those contrast paints. I mean, it looks pretty cool. I got to see it for myself. Play around with it. And I wonder if you can airbrush them. Because I'm going to tell you something. When it comes to Nighthaunt Gloom and Hexwraith's Flame, don't airbrush them. Do not airbrush them. They will clog the bedoogies out of your airbrush. Like, done, right? Yeah, don't do that. I wonder if I can use this for terrain or something. I don't know. Let me know. What do you do with your Nighthaunt Gloom and your Hexwraith's Flame? Because I certainly don't use it for what they're intended for, and nor will I. So there's that. Okay, last bit, and this is a little interesting. Killzone Sector Sanctoris, which is really interesting for me. It's really interesting for me because they had the Cities of Death, I think that's what it was called, box set for $100, and they had this scatter terrain stuff in it, and that scatter terrain is actually in this box set. What's also in this box set are the two statues, the Sector Sanctorum, I think it's called, the big statues. You got both of them, so you get another set of those. You get those. You get the scatter terrain pieces. And you get Broken Sector Imperialis stuff, as well, like the ones that came in, the original Kill Team box set, the scatter ones, the smaller ones. You get that as well. So there's plenty of scatter terrain in that sucker. And if you want scatter terrain, I mean, that would be something you look into. And these boxes, these kill zones, they don't last. They do not last. I tried to get the Sector Mechanicus one, and I couldn't get it in time because I never got one of those huge furnaces, and I kind of wanted one, and never, missed out on it, and that's one of the beauties of GW's marketing, is that they do have limited run of stuff, and if you don't get it, it runs out. Speaking of which, the Loon Curse is no longer online. That's sold out online. So if you can get it in a shop, get it in your shop. I hear your hobby place still has a couple. Last I checked, I don't know if they sold out as well. So if you do want to get your Sylvaneth on and your little squigs going on all over the place, I'm telling you right now, pick up a box because they are gone. They're no longer available on the website. I checked. I was like, what happened to that? They even took it off the banner. We had a banner. It's gone. It's gone. You can still get Tooth and Claw, you can still get Tooth and Claw for Space Wolves and Gene Stealer calls. That's still on the website, but the Loon Curse, gone. So there's that. Just a service announcement. Get your Loon on. All right, so let's get into the topic of the day. And there was a lot of news because of Warhammer Fest, and there was a lot of releases there, and I kind of wanted to talk about it because there's just so much to unpack there. Are you excited about all those new releases? Are you excited about what's coming in down the pike? Do you play Warhammer Underworlds? Are you going to get the new Killzone? There's so many questions here. All the questions. Are you interested in the video games that are playing out? Do you play the video games as well? Now, I started playing video games and I stopped playing video games because, painting took over my life, as well as, responsibility. I mean, that's the first thing. But then, painting is my, hobby. So I had to give up something, right? Are you going to get a Repulsor Executioner? I mean, that is high on my list. I love that thing. I love it. I love it. All right, anyway. I'm getting too excited again. All right, so today what I want to talk about is the core of anyone's army. And it's fascinating for me. It's fascinating for me, and it's also the most ambiguous, nobody, blah, boring thing there is. But simultaneously, now think about it. So you have somebody like, your Wolf Lords, right? You got them going on, right? You got your elite commanders and stuff like that. And there's so much detail. You're like, right? You love that stuff right there. You just pour all the detail into that. And that's awesome. And that's great. And the painters really look forward to pouring a lot of detail into those models. The elite units is where you really go gung-ho. A lot of even army painters that paint basic armies, they'll go the extra mile in order to secure that their elite units are painted to a higher standard than their rank and file infantry. Why? Because if you got 50 rank and file infantry on your table, dude number 37 and dude number 51, I said 50, right? 49, you're gonna be like, by 49 you get, I don't care, whatever, dude, whatever. Faces, bases, and banner is all that matters. But for me, what I did was, you got your regular dudes here, like these guys, Blood Claws, which I think are epic. And one of the reasons why I love Space Wolves is that their infantry are unique. I like that, right? So you got these Blood Claws. These are the rank and file people. But this isn't one like 3 coats and done. This was not 3 coats and done at all. This was 3 to 5 days per. 3 to 5 days per. This is non-metallic metal gold on the rims. This is learning how to do that. The Space Wolf sword, the chain sword has a design on it. I hand painted the shoulder pads for each and every one. Each diamond has a diamond effect on it. Each bone was painted in 3 colors bone with an undertone, a shade, and 3 highlights. Each necklace was done with an emblazoned frozen emblem glowing in the back, so you have glowing effects. And this is just one dude. This is just one dude. I've also done rivers that ran through, and including details on the base. I raised the bases up, and I don't care about no, is it basing or modeling for advantage. I'll take an inch off on the battlefield if it means that much to you. I don't care. But the thing is, to me, is aesthetically pleasing. In other words, this is going to be the same height as Primaris Intercessor. So if I feel these guys alongside my intercessors and everyone else, they're not going to look like midgets. That bothers me. That bothers me. Okay? But I poured love into this, but not everybody does, your rank and file. But think about it, how important these guys are when it comes to your army. When it comes to your army, yeah, you're focusing on your elites. Here's some of my Stormcast Eternal armies. Again, poured in the love on these guys too. Make sure they had unique bases on there as well. So what I did was I took my time with each and single one because I realized personally the importance of having your rank and file troops. So like I said, if you have 50 on the table, you may not care about it, but that's only if you're batch painting. This is why I can't batch paint, and that's me. I can't batch paint because then I lose emotional attachment to each and every figure that I'm painting. And I paid money for these figures. I paid money for these figures not for their abilities, but because they look hecka cool. It's what drew me to an army to begin with. I gotta think it looks absolutely amazing, and I wanna pour hour upon hour painting these and making them come to life to where I'm happy with and where I get immersed in that. So I will invest the time into my rank and file troops. But if you want to think about it, they are the most plentiful on the table. And whatever's the most plentiful on the table is sort of what defines your army. Let me elaborate. Okay. So let's say you're painting, right? And you're painting and you're doing a zenithal highlighting. Because I got to bring this back to painting, right? And you do a zenithal highlight. Now, 100% of the miniature doesn't have to be your primary color. Let's say you're painting something white. 100% of your miniature does not have to be white in order for your eyes to register it as white. No, as long as you have 60%, 40 to 50, well, 50 to 60%, somewhere around there, the majority of the model is white, with like 40% brown or reddish if you want a warm tone, or cold, a gray if you want a cold white, right? And you can put in these shadows in there all over the place. You can put gray in there, and only a little bit has to be pure white in order to register the entire miniature as white. Now, the most plentiful thing, the most saturated thing in your army, the thing that's going to be dominating your army are your infantry. There's so many, unless you're running a complete elite army, but that's besides the point. Mainly for armies, it's your infantry. You have a whole bunch of rank and file people. It's what defines your army. Hence, making it the most important part of your army. I'm not saying the most important unit because there's multiple units there, but the most important section of your army. It's what defines the entire whole. It's what you see most of. It's what's up front and personal when it comes to your army. So, I personally spend the time, because I'm a madman, putting a lot of attention and detail into every single miniature that I do, and I really don't put an emphasis on when I finish. Hence, I have all these boxes here, but the thing is that most people are not okay with their backlog, and me, I embrace it. I know if something were to happen and I couldn't get to a gaming store forever and I couldn't get online to get my fix and financially something happened and I couldn't buy another model, I'm sad. I'm sad. I could still produce material. I could still do all these things, right? And it wouldn't even affect me because I have all this to do. This is all content for me. This is all future content for my channel. And if that's future content for my channel, I'm sort of ensuring that the channel isn't going anywhere anytime this decade. Okay? So there's that. right? And that's something to look forward to. See, I'm planning this YouTube channel for the long haul, for as long as I guess YouTube is still out. You know, like things come and go. You know, it used to be that America Online, AOL, was the biggest thing. It was one of the only ways to get online, right? And like everybody had it. Everybody I knew had it. It was there were some other variants. I mean, Netgear, I think it was, or something like that. There were other variants and stuff like that, but nobody had the presence of America Online. That was the thing, right? And that went. Like, I mean, it's not gone. There's an app now, but it's no longer the primary source of you getting your email and connecting online. Period. Right? So that entire thing evolved and changed, and it sort of like made it not be the primary source anymore. So the same thing when it comes to YouTube. I don't know if YouTube will last forever. But I'll tell you this much, with all these materials, and because I have an external hard drive, I've actually saved all my tutorials on an external hard drive. How cool is that? So I have all that stuff for another medium if we ever switch with that as well. But I'm expecting to content produce for at least the next 10 years. At the least, right? And I definitely have plenty of material and stuff to spread love over, right? Okay, so infantry. Not the bane of your existence, the heart of your army. It's not the elites. It's not the elites that inherit the earth. It's the meek. It's the meek. All right, like James Meeks. Ha! How's it going, James? All right. What do you think? What do you think of the army? I mean, yeah, you got your elites, but what do you think? Have you ever thought about your infantry like that? Like, have you ever put importance to them? Do you lavish love on your infantry like I do? Are you that level of insane? If you are, welcome. And if you're not, that's okay, dude. You actually are sane, so you're probably leading us all. All right. So let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much for spending this time with me and hanging out. I really do appreciate the company that I keep you. And I love to bring you content every single week. And I really can't wait to build this computer. I'm really excited to getting this epic computer going. Next purchase is going to be the graphics card. And I'm buying things from the most expensive to the least expensive. Only because, you know, owie, you're going to get hit with something. Might as well, I like to get hit with it up front, and then everything else, you know, slowly but surely will come into play. All right, well, if you like this video, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on the Miniatures Paintbrush.